Hi there, this Flash Drive, I'm back again with another episode of Sordland. So where did we leave it from Monday? Let's have a look. News. Yep. Yeah, we managed to complete that service without making a big hash of it. Right, over here we've got us to do now. Dinner at the family home. What could possibly go wrong there? I arrived home from work, hung up my jacket and put my briefcase in the hall. I paused awaiting my usual greeting from my wife and daughter. Diana was out at one of her after school art classes. I remember where was Monica. From over my head a muffled sob. I entered to find Monica sitting on the sofa, letting her hands on a look of despair on her face. Darling, what's wrong? Briefly she rested her head on my shoulder and then handed me a letter. Department of Education, Frank's in for exam results are in. How did he do? See for yourself. Frank's name and address, his score was 435. Oh dear me, that ain't good. Failed, stamped in red. All those efforts, years of private lessons all down the drain. I wonder whether this is... I wonder, because this is sounds like, I wonder if some of the events happen regardless of what you do, and this is another one I think actually happens because if we had the same thing, I made different choices on the lead up to this. I wonder whether the same thing happens. It's the same. I wonder if some of the events are set to happen irrespective of what you do. I mean, like Sol in the toilets happened last time as well. Didn't go as well, mind you, but maybe it'll be good for him to learn from his mistakes. Does he know the results yet? No, but he should be back. Oh, blimey! Why have we opened it? He should be back from school soon. I don't understand. Frank's a smart boy. Why would he sabotage himself like this? I heard the key turning in the front door. Frank stomped in and was about to go up the stairs as we announced both of us in the living room. Mom, Dad, what's going on? Have a seat, Frank. Took a seat across from where I handed him a letter. He started reading it. Oh, yeah. We're not angry at you, but I need a moment. He went to the kitchen sink, washed his face. A monitor came back. I never thought this would happen. I'm so sorry. It's my fault. I should have been around you to help you study. It's not the end of the world. Quite. You should have taken a break from running the country to help your lose a son. Frank looked closely to his Monica, put a hand on his shoulder. It's going to be okay. We should really studied harder, Frank. I know. So what am I supposed to do now? Well, there's always a military school, but you're a president, and you'll have to you'll go to military school, of course. But yeah, you still have options. Yes. Surprise me with this enthusiasm. If Alfonso could get his dimwit son into Kingshill University, I'm sure Halsall State should have room for a bright boy like Frank. I'm not going to take life lessons from Ep12 Alfonso. I could have connections to the board. Halsall State would be amazing. A bunch of my friends that go in there. I could still come home to do my laundry. Wait, you could also study abroad. Wait, you could also study abroad. Yeah, minus one personal wealth. Yeah, we'll do it. Terrific Halsall State it is. This is another one, apart from that study abroad thing that came up, the last one. I wonder if this is another whole set event. I want it down this time. What a day! Who's hungry for dinner? Monica disappeared into the kitchen. Frank went to his room. I went to my office and began making some phone calls. Yep, and we've got no money. Again. We make wine, but we've got no cash. Why is it not moving? Hang on. Chief Justice of the Supreme Court made an announcement after the majority of judges voted against the violation of constitutional rights of bloody citizens as proposed by Yerson. The landmark case, which was politically charged with the support of the WFPB, okay, the Workers' Party of Bloodier, and the PJFP, critics were handed over to the minutes of Neil Morgan, who filed concurrence. Okay. This. Okay, this is one I remember from the last one as well. This is basically an incident happened in 1933, when they were building a big dam over in Izam incident in Birgit somewhere, and they basically wanted to clear out this entire bloodish village out so they could build it into a dam, and essentially they refused to go. Sol sent in the army and he got killed, and ever since then they've had a daily day of mourning or something like that. Yeah, vigil, solemn anniversary of his death. Okay, justice felt again. Alright, anything else to do before I dive into this one? Well, I'm more over here, so. New school completed. Cool, that's good. The economy's still severely down the toilet, mind you, but rural education improved significantly. Okay, that's good news. Our economy's got an absolute kick in, mind you, but the Supreme Court filed 8-3 dissent and closed Sordland v Sordland case today. Chief Minister dismissed the concurrence of the Minister of Justice citing the religious ceremony doesn't prevent bloodish people practicing religion in any shape or form. Further press releases were made criticising the words of the Vice Minister of Justice. Okay, I'm not asked to style things very messy. Brief on diplomatic strategy. We've got a drink. Right. Doors of the White Room, like everything else in Marine Palace main nerve centre, were painted white. I took a deep breath before pushing them open. Time for yet another meeting. At least this time it was with people who liked me. The eternal. I don't know about that. Attendees rose up from their seats. Mr. President. Isef nodded here and Lisa sat down while David remained standing. Now that you are here, let's talk about our diplomatic strategy. David cleared his throat. Mr. President, if I may, I would like to provide you with a short overview of where we are right now. Go ahead. We have successfully passed trade deals with both Welland and Agnolia, which means we have increased our presence in these regions. These deals were an important piece of leverage and significant first steps into the global arena. We must now look towards the future. Go on. What do you mean look forward to the future? Go on. David said, and I pulled out a few pages and started going through them as he kept talking. Well, in Agnolia, where practice comes, we must begin improving our relationship with greater nations. We need to elevate our international standing, especially with the threat of Wurmberg looming. As I've cleared his throat. Thanks to our wise investment, Sordland's army is on its way to becoming our force to be reckoned with. Whether it be Wurmberg or anyone else, we can handle outside threats just fine. We don't need to beg for help from anyone. But being friendly won't hurt, right? I agree, there's nothing to be lost by making alliances. Our military perspective is important, but these deals are about more than just gaining allies. We also need to consider the benefits to our economy such deals will provide, especially since we are still struggling to end the recession. David took a seat and brought us 2 stacks of documents. At the start of the term, I had a comprehensive trade plan laid out. Following our visit to Magnolia, we were to pursue potential trade deals with our two greater nations. With 2 greater nations, Vagland is one, or at least was. Unfortunately, a trade deal with them is as long as possible. In Vagland's case, given the country's territorial ambitions and our alliance with Magnolia, that's what a slap in. That was what. In Vagland's case, given the country's territorial ambitions and our alliance with Magnolia, was rather a slap in the face. Now, the comics won't be able to Magnolia without facing the might of the Swedish armed forces. Yeah, calm down, lad. It will make them think twice. True, but as a result, we won't be able to conduct a trade deal, let alone proceed with any diplomatic missions at the moment. What is done is done. Let's look forward, as you wish. As you stand right now, any kind of deal with Vagsland is simply out of the question. Moving on to Lesbia. Our southern neighbour is one of the wealthiest countries in Eastern Macopia. A trade deal with them would be very beneficial not just for our economy but also for our regional and international presence, not to mention they are in the Arcasian sphere. Because we would be following through with our promise to lean westward, it would also strengthen our voter base. Indeed, this deal would also be a first step to allowing ourselves Lesbia or maybe even entering at Ato. A Sordland will get its rightful place with an Ato. A trade deal with Lesbia could open many doors for us. To our country as intra, Lesbia could help elevate our economy. That is it for the overview. As to the actual contents of the trade deal, the investment we made in Burgundy region has yielded positive results. Lucian pulled out a small notebook and quickly flipped through the pages until he landed on the right one. Look at my stats. The investment helped increase the wheat output of the region. We now have a surplus, which makes an excellent resource for trade. Then why is our budget and our economy still tanked? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I need to know your decision before we can proceed. What should we do? Negotiate with Lesbia because we need the money. Next news I will begin at once. That is all I had for today. Thanks for coming. Thank you, gentlemen. He saluted as he left the White Room. Okay, that was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Let's start with the news. Isolated polio cases seen in Berkshire. Okay, this is onset of polio. His vaccine program is ordered to prevent the spread. Polio cases explode in Berkshire. Times in the region. The outbreak, thought to have originated in the Cotswolds, is currently confined to just a few villages under strict quarantine. The Health Minister Pascal Benewell has called for a swift action, including countrywide vaccination, to prevent the case from multiplying. We concur that this disease, which is known to cause paralysis in severe cases, is a serious threat and must be contained at all costs. That's very on topic with what's going on in the world at the moment. Rayne will visit Lesbia for trade deal. Yep, we most certainly will. Well, let's start from the top and work our way down. Yep. Healthcare quality improved. Significant rise in quality of healthcare since additional funding was channeled into rural areas. Mortality appears to be decreasing while patients are putting a high level of trust in physicians and medical facilities. Good. Hopefully they'll remote the ballot box. Following the completion of the L1 high-speed rail between Holston and Lockhaven, the port of Latchbury has been experiencing a higher traffic than ever. An increased number of businesses are now choosing to ship their goods by boat as a result of more efficient transit prices. Look, the economy's getting better. It's still red, but it's not as red as it was. As the rest of some workers are bearing the brunt of the recession, manufacturing sector has been particularly hard as the number of factory workers filled far for unemployment over the past month, so it's still not getting much better. A trade deal stuck with Berger continues to bear fruit as Berger sees an upward trend in agricultural exports. Manufacturing industries also celebrate the decreased production costs that have resulted in the uptick in importation of West Coal in the aftermath of Operation Bear Trap. That has brought a 20% decrease in homeless among its British population over the past 2 years. A developed market on British activists writes decreasing correspondence with a rise in wages and employment in the city for the government's decision to invest in the Berkshire region. Good. So we did have to do a few right things, didn't we? Sarna has experienced 50% increase in agricultural output for the last 2 years. Employment in the agricultural sector has been rising. There, I don't even going to try and say that. The boom is thought to have a direct result of investments in the Berkshire region. Yes. Sometimes I want perhaps using a game to YouTube that involves me doing a lot of it. It probably wasn't the wisest ideas. But anyway, let's put life out in it. How many episodes are we in there? Run to episode 11 or 12. Anyway. Currency loses value against the occasional lira. Financial reports Suzerain has steadily been slipping against the occasional lira. Right, so the money, budgets, okay, fine. I'm sure somebody will tell us if that's bad. Dinner with Justice Isabel. Neil Morgan has arranged for a dinner meeting with Justice Isabel Edmonds this evening. Ahead of a dinner, Nia and I met to have a talk. We've settled on a table on the second floor of Papillon, a world-class lesbian restaurant in downtown Holsord. The whole floor has been reserved for us, and the music's coming from downstairs with enough to guard our voices from potential eavesdroppers. I still can't believe Sol came to the vote. I'm sure he was just pressured. He was also pressured justice of court right after that win. I can't speak any sense into them. What's happened in the court? They don't really talk when I'm around. They don't trust me, and as I'm an outsider outside member of the court. I only know about 2 justices I've mentioned earlier who are with me, so we have 3 votes there. Also, thanks to recent efforts of our anti-corruption forces, we managed to pressure several judges into cooperation. Excellent. Nothing like a bit of arm twisting. Now, potentially 4 to 5 votes in total for today's meeting could bring us the last vote we need to reach 6. The old guards are frantically opposing your proposal, so I doubt there's any possibility there. I can't know for sure, of course, but centrist trio always stick together, and Isabel is their mouthpiece. She is the only one willing to talk, so we have to take our chances with her. Do you think we could... Edmonds... She's been there for a while. I think she's our best bet. We have a meeting with her now after all. She's at open protest against the Algod, but she has told me her concerns about them. She's certainly open to dialogue, but also sceptical. She seems to be scared of potential purge against the court. We should play into that. Don't take her lightly. Isabel's feelings of pressure after the vote. She's not a weak woman. What's also been doing? He's doing his best to organise a court against your proposal. But there's huge pressure on the anti-corruption forces. I find criminal evidence against some of the justices. Although they have immunity, they're scared that these will go public. They've also already gained. We've already gained more votes in the court, but I'm not sure the old guard would jump on the same wagon. We have to keep up the pressure. The Vescos are still going to be spending. The pressure will build up. She's been misused, isn't she? Let's talk about our next steps. Well, the next step is speaking to Isabella, make sure she votes for the post, but also the way to approach them bowed in respect. Did you decide on the entree, sir? Well, the guests will wait for her to order, of course, sir. I'll be around. He went downstairs again. Now I took a sip from a glass of water and looked at me. So let's move on to our plan with Isabel. Let's try not to agitate her when she comes. We've won the vote, as she already has pressure on her. Not to mention pressure from the anti-corruption police, but she feels concerned we might lose her. It's important not to put too much pressure on her. We shouldn't scare off. Oh, and that's for the best. Suddenly I noticed Justice Isabel Edmonds coming upstairs. She was wearing a dark grey plain suit, grey so hid most of her features. Oh, good to see you, Mrs. Edmonds. Near got off from her chair and shook Abel's hand. Welcome her to her seat. She bowed and head slightly, Mr. President. Good to see Justice Edmonds. So I took a seat across the table. How was your day? I don't want to say good, but this time I will take that liberty to say it was insanely exhausting. Have you got matters again? Not that I'm complaining. Suddenly the waiter approached us. Are you ready to give your orders? I'll have the soup police, please, as you wish. Mrs. Edmonds, I'll have the salad. I'll have the salad too. Yeah, go on. Perfect. He quickly took a couple of notes in his tiny notebook. I'll be back shortly. He went back downstairs, leaving us alone on the upper floor again. How is the situation in the Supreme Court? Let's just say busy. She was in a chair to be more comfortable. First off, congratulations with the vote at the Grand National Assembly. I admire your struggle, especially because you are strong enough to include concessions from your side. You're really brave, Mr. President, trying to go against Stark and Sol's honour of rights there. But now you face the Supreme Court, it pains me to say your proposal has a very low chance of getting through. But you like the proposal. No, I don't like the proposal. So the current situation is clear. You need our wing to vote for you, otherwise all of your hard work will go to vain. I'm not going to know that's the situation. That's a start. Okay, at the moment the waiter came back from downstairs carrying plates of food. God, that was quick. But I'm going to get served that quick round here. Right, I'm just going to open the box. Give me a second. I won't do it right underneath the microphone because I don't want to deafen you lot with me opening a can of beer. Right. Tonight, obviously I'm recording this in the evening because I work during the day. So I've now got a can of Brewdog Punk IPA, Pace Modern Classic, 5.4%. It is my favourite beer in the world. Nothing like playing a game of Suzerain and having a beer. But anyway, I digress. At the moment the waiter came back from downstairs carrying plates of food. Seeing that we were in the midst of a discussion, he averted his eyes as he approached us. He quickly started serving food and we filled the glasses. He placed a plate of salad Luca in front of me. It looked fresh and smelled of olive oil. I was very hungry. Bon appetit, thank you, it looks delicious. Bowed to us and quickly went downstairs. We wished each other a good meal as Isabel and Naya slowly started to eat. Says Mrs. Edmonds, are you still thinking the same about the old guard? Of course, nothing has changed. That's good, we still have some of that in common. It doesn't mean I'll accept any proposal any proposal the old guards oppose. Yet we must do something. You know that we need to change our institutions. So I took a sip from her water and turned to me. Tell me, Mr. President, what are your real intentions? We need a better democracy. I want a strong Sordland. I'm trying to locally support the people, that is the will. That's all I'm striving for. For some reason I doubt that. Let's say the proposal goes through. What will your next move be? To ensure new processes are respected and executed in transparency. I see. Isabel took another sip from her water and looked at me without saying anything. Miss Edmonds, please help with G's victory. We have to be together in this. What do you want in return for this centrist vote? I don't want anything, Mr. President. My vote is not for sale. I didn't come here to be disrespected. I didn't want to disrespect you, Mrs. Edmonds, of course. She sighed and looked outside the window for a moment. Can you explain one thing? How come you think that the Supreme Court's right to vote on constitutional amendments is a major problem with such priority? Because you're not elected. I thought you were unmasking the President, Mrs. Morgner. Why didn't you ask me before, Miss? The proposal was made together. The court has stopped every constitutional change, Mrs. Edmonds. The judiciary should not have legislative powers. It should not have legislative powers. I don't know what to say. This isn't going well. Changing one thing, but you also lead an alarming narrative. I'm concerned about your heavy-handed pursuit of capitalism. You'll bring Arcasian influence to Sordland. I don't agree with that. We are not their puppet. Weren't you for Alphonse's free market reforms? Why are you suddenly against this? We're not there. This isn't going well. Weren't you for Alphonse's free market reforms? Why are you suddenly against this? I found the growing Caucasian influence concerning I supported free markets earlier, but you can't afford to be reckless like Alfonso. I suddenly cut in. If we were to come back to the point of unify against the old guard, I want the old guard gone as much as you do, but I am torn about this proposal. Don't be. We are together in this. This will open with further reforms too. I'm not sure I want to go with that one. Please, we need your help. Mr. Mr. President, I'm also wondering, if you were in Sol's position, how do you have structured the Supreme Court? What do you believe its role? Purely an advisory body for legislative and high Supreme Court, it must have the power of judicial review and to strike down laws that are against the proposed Constitution. The Court protects the Constitution. I would have done the same with my proposal today. Ooh. Why? What do you mean asking why? I've asked you a question. Let's forget. Silence, Emerson, what were you thinking? Got to help me, but she took a sip from her gas. Well, actually, I have to say this. I'm really surprised that this proposal is abolishing the Member of Honours title. I supported that part. Tell me, are you planning to put Sol on trial? I've no such plans. Tell me, are you planning to put Sol on trial? Yes, he should investigate fines for his crimes. I've no such plans. The important thing here is now he will be a regular citizen. Yep. No, even though I'm abolishing his position, he must be respected as a founder of our Second Republic. Yep. I see. I also like the proposal. This introduces 2 limits. That's a good point. Anyway, I don't have much else to say. You decided then. Let's see. I don't think that kind of has any say with her. Yes, let's go with that one. So, I regret to say I do not see eye to eye with Mr. President. I don't think I can support this proposal. Had to hear there's no way to change your mind. I don't think so, Mr. President. Justice Edmonds. In fact, I think it's time I leave this meeting. Thank you for inviting me here, Mr. President. You can't leave before we agree on this. Yeah, let's go. Shut up. I don't know what you mean. I've told you my position. I have another place to be, Mr. President, if you'll excuse me. That didn't go well. Likewise. That's not good. What do we do now? Other options. We might have to reach out to Heaven. I don't think he'll be able to help with that. Isabella. That did not go well. It was a good start. It looked like I had no choice but to work the old guard. No, what you do is get the press on them. Let's go to Surge. That did not go well. What do we do about that then? Okay. Now what? We unleash the public on them. The vote. Court rules near. We need to sway Justice Rayne Garcia to maximise our chance of winning the vote for the new constitution. After initial rejection, we could bribe him, send, or convince him to enter negotiations, or outright ignore the justice. Send Lucian. Send Nia. Let's send Lucian. This is. I don't think we're going to win this somehow. Go down. I was facing another important political figure, Heron Garcia. I reached out. He had reached out to us and wished for a meeting just ahead of the Supreme Court of the court. He had reached out to us and wished for a meeting just ahead of the court vote. We scheduled a meeting outside the Holsford in my new vineyard, Illinois, where we could have some privacy. He grabbed a drink, sat down under the shadow of a red oak, at the village garden overlooking the red grapevines. Heron sat next to me in his base suit and took off. Checked his in a white. Sorry. Heron sat next to me in his beige check suit and took off his white trilby. Very nice place you've got here, Mr. President. Didn't know you were a wine grower. I like the calmness here. You're lucky to have such a place to come and relax. He straightened himself. So, Mr. President, you went a long way to make this meeting possible. I had to pay you the respect. Please to speak of your intentions and how I could be of assistance to you. I need your help in the upcoming vote. I'm prepared to do that. as long as we help each other. I can help you beyond the vote. Wouldn't you want to have a Chief Justice who'd be sympathetic to your concerns? Wouldn't it sound nice? I'm listening. I've already had support behind me. If you can help me with some investments that can be valuable ally to the Supreme Court. Excellent. Oh dear, I like the word investments. I will support you not only with the vote, but afterwards. I can't promise that. You have to be help as President. I gave you my offer. If you don't like it, there's no support from me. Easy as that. I don't have anything to spare. Can we figure something else out? No. I don't have anything to spare. It's time I get going then. Have you considered support? Thank you for inviting me here. It's a shame that you were leaving empty-handed. It was a nice meeting. So basically, we have no money to bribe him with. That's a pain, isn't it? Oh no. We can lose the constitutional vote. Back in the office, eager awaited the decision of the Supreme Court regarding the change of the Constitution. I stood up from my chair and looked out the window. Peter asked Pascal with me. Peter was slouching on the couch on the right side of the office, stared at the ceiling. Pascal sat across from me. He was eagerly waiting the results. We knew we were going to lose. Though process had been tough and all of it now was nothing left but wait the justice cast their vote. What do you think, Anselm? Are we going to make history today? Be honest, I have a bad feeling about this. So, you trust us about to bring the votes? No, she told us she'll oppose us. That's not good. Peter stared at the ceiling again. My war is heaven. I think we need his vote. But anyway, we'll learn about the vote soon. The session is already underway. By the way, what time is it? I looked at the tall wall case clock at the room. It was already 20 past 11. The court vote session was scheduled around 20 in 10 minutes. We're about 10 minutes. Okay, seen about the results then. But anyway. He raised and slouched and stretched. I don't know if you've noticed, but Casau is getting popular in the Assembly recently. Our party's been supporting a lot of bills, some of which have already reached you. What do you make of this? I think he's a very dangerous man, Anton. We can't let him divide our party. I have no problem, I agree. We watch him closely. His party only holds 40 seats, Anton, yet he manages to pass bills. That's very true. That man is trouble. Yeah. Maybe we shouldn't allow our party to be so generous with their support. Suddenly Olivia entered the room with hands with a large object wrapped in straw paper. Good day, Mr. President and Mr. Benwell. Am I interrupting you? Okay, Olivia, what happened? The Chief Justice sent this. Show me the wrapped object. Just on the table. Yes, sir. She walked up to the table and gave it to him. I immediately started to remove the wrapping, removed the phone photograph. It was an old black and white photograph of Tarquin himself posing on a destroyed tank in Holsworth Square. The building behind him, thousands of bullet holes on it, clearly readable slogan "Victory" is closely written on the walls. The date 22nd of May 1929 was written in the corner with a black marker. To Olivia, thanks, Olivia, you may go. Olivia turned to leave. Noticed Peter on the couch. Olivia reddened slightly. She gave him a small wave. As soon as he left, Peter came up next to me and took a look at the photograph. Nice present. Must have some kind of message. What is it? Rich is close. Also is getting ahead of himself. Suddenly he entered the room. Mr. President, the vote has concluded. We gathered immediately around him. Fortunately, so the Constitution proposals have been rejected. 7 justices voted against the proposal. What? Damn, oh God, what can we do? We failed. What do we do now? We'll talk to Cabinet, arrange a meeting immediately. We have plans and next steps. The plan will not reflect well with the public or the Assembly. Arrange a meeting immediately. Right away, sir. All of us immediately got to work upon the next steps after the Supreme Court failure. It's always going to be a failure. Ugh. I'm not surprised that happened. That's a blow though. The Supreme Court has voted to rule against proposed changes to the Constitution. Attempted to place several sections. Many of them opposed to do. Okay. Court ruled against his proposed constitutional changes. They will necessarily adequate and meaningful amongst many others. Popular support. But changes Constitution to do. Yeah, well, that's what we've got to do. We've got to get the press onto the back of the Supreme Court and get them lynched or something. I'm too nice as the president, so I won't be able to do that. Okay, Lucien stood up like holding a large folder of files of his army, bowed his head in acknowledgement. He looked exhausted. The cabinet is gathered in the White Room. The President will be opening the session soon. We can go whenever you're ready. I'm ready, let's go, of course. Lucien held the door for me. We both left the office for the White Room. We went to the room. Peter to speak to the cabinet members who were already seated around the table. As soon as we all stood up. Good day, everybody. Please have a seat. Peter towards me. Everybody except him took their seats and stood right next to me in the chair in the middle. And as our president, he held a chair for me to sit down and smile. Please sit down. What's on our agenda? We discussed the current situation and planning for the remainder of the term. Peter walked to his seat but didn't sit down. He took one look at the ministers. Now that the President is here, we begin the meeting. I know that some of you have heard concerns about our style of governance so far. We're time to speak about these in this meeting today. I must all thank you for your hard work so far. We are very lucky to have a team like this. All of you have been valuable to this administration. Lewis grimaced at the remarks. Now, having said that, we now have to reach a critical point of our term. We are nearing the end. We have worked long and hard, but we couldn't reform the Scottish Constitution. The Supreme Court blocked us once again, another stain on our democracy. Me and Lucien know the culprits. Isabel, another justice, lenient to a legal opinion, did not support us. Helen and the other consentries voted against us. Paused and looked round the room. But the past is the past. Now we must look forward to our futures. We are investigating and analysing our faults. We will be taking measures accordingly. He glanced at Lucien and me. Our party still remains divided. In order to look to at the future, we need to make some changes. On the other hand, the Constitution is exploiting our failure to support reform. However, on the other hand, the opposition is exploiting our failure to reform. The latest poll shows a steep increase in the opposition support. So, let's start the meeting with a brief look at some reports. He fumbled with a stack of papers in front of him. Despite the recent troubles, people seem to be content about administration. Public opinion hasn't changed much. He took out a piece of paper from the stack and inspected it. The biggest concern of the people is the state of our economy. We are slowly slipping into depression. Slowly, look at it. It's only a matter of time for people until the people will be hit further. Until the people will be hit further. This will have dire consequences for our administration. This is time to give the best we can for the administration for Sordland. Peter turned to me. I'll give the word to the President now. He sat down. Let's start the meeting. Start with me. Peter, right, let's hear from the ministers. Peter gestured at Simon and immediately stood up. Mr. President, dear colleagues, Mr. Vice President was pretty on point with some of our current economic situation. He used the word depression. He couldn't have been more correct. The GDP shrank 3% last year. This downward trend has broken our economy over the last years. If we cannot contain this in time, we'll end that term, in the truest sense of the word, in a depression. Our debt is also very concerning. Our total national debt has increased by 20 billion Swedish ren. On the other hand, unemployment has greatly declined. We have managed to cut it by 16 to 12%. We are estimating a further decrease in the near future. He paused for a moment. Let's see the next report. Well, Mr. President, Gus stood up and Sam sat down. He asked for a private audience with the cabinet member respect. He'd asked for a private audience which the cabinet respected. It was just the two of us in the room. I'll keep this very brief, but the album way has already proven to be a success. We have managed to bring food prices down and create a whole Sordland and Gelsland regions. Our agricultural output has increased. We're already seeing investments coming into rural areas. The trade deal with Ireland has increased agricultural export from the Bergia region. Investments region has greatly increased agricultural capacity. The investment also led to increase in homelessness and unemployment in rural Bergia. The completion of the Sordland agricultural, we expect Bergia to be an economic powerhouse. Additionally, I've put some good news regarding our investment. The vineyard has begun producing wine. I've also arranged several wine testers to sample and give ideas how to review quality. In a few years, the vineyard will even challenge regional samples. It would need some further attention to reach those goals, however. That'll be all from me. Thank you, Mr. Manga. You've got to get back, because they invited the cabinet back in to sit down. Some obviously opposed such behaviour. Up next was Pascal. There's currently no major problems in the Ministry of Health. Investigating polio. I believe we get more details in our policy meeting. Mr. Bennywall, let's look it up. Mr. Just says very important report regarding our situation in Rumberg. Investigation showed that Rumberg was in fact weaponising rebels against our state. We have learned that they have been aiding bloody rebels in Welland too. The military must be ready for any possible attack coming from Rumberg. We have gathered intelligence regarding their military research and production. They are building a massive army. We know that. We currently need to increase our own military production. We cannot let them threaten us like this. And when you make necessary remits, Lancia will have use whatever he needs to. We'll have to use whatever we have to its limits. Closely to Agnolia. Of course, we already started cooperating, but Angela cannot stand against Rumberg. We can only trust ourselves. We'll have to use whatever we have to its limits. Of course, Davy stood up. Perla has agreed to begin deal negotiations. Will be moving on with that very soon. Our relations with Noli have greatly improved. Our ministers have scheduled many joint projects together. Cooperation with Welland and Sordland has increased to a new level. However, we are seeing a negative impact with Lesbia. The region is very unstable. Incidents with Rumberg and Welland and Hedgeland. We must be very cautious. We can talk in more detail at our foreign policy meeting. Thank you. See what's next. Our ministry is working down to improve the education system, increase its accessibility. We have since greatly improved our rural education, building new schools and bringing new equipment and books. We have accomplished a lot with our new curriculum. Our reforms will be greatly improve our output as a society. Lily stood up. Mr. President, we have important equipment missing from several of our major police departments. We might need to implement new measures soon. We provide you a more detailed report at a later date. One last thing, I'd like to transfer the gendarmerie. I'd like to transfer the gendarmerie under the Ministry of Interior to improve the internal security efforts. I haven't heard of this before. I'm still working on a proposal of legal back and forth. I was going to mention it later. The Ministry of Defence shouldn't be meddling with internal security affairs through the gendarmerie. We have several instances where they were too violent too quickly, and it stems from military office giving reckless orders at times. If the mysterious gets problematic, then might be necessary. It will eventually cause a problem between our forces. There are always miscommunications going on. Will you transfer the gendarmerie to the interior in the future? I will support them. I can't make that promise. Yes, I will be furious. That's unfortunate. Anything share? Shook her head. At the moment, you're already well aware of what's going on. I will update you on our next steps to judiciary in another meeting. I understand. Took a seat. Now let's talk about our plans going forward. Right. Okay, quicken up, yeah. Someone needs to become like a powerhouse. We can't get elected if we don't not improve the economy. Almost everybody seems to be agreement with me. If there are no comments, get moving with the meeting. I believe though it says everything. Everyone packed up there. Packed up and left the white room. I went back to my office. Gessler was waiting for me by the door. Mr. President, can I have a moment of your time? I have something to discuss. Let's go inside the office. He went to the office. I went to my desk and sat down on my chair. Please have a seat. Thank you, sir. I'm fine. It won't take long. The anti-corruption police have compiled a report regarding active investigations. We've been watching the Elgar closely, just as you asked, and found a very complex web of connections. There are mislinks in our investigation, but the Elgar seem to be involved in huge cases of corruption and lobbying. Most of the connections linked to Chief Justice Hawkeye. Despite none of the members of Assembly having direct ties with him, there seems to be a complex web of connections that is proving very difficult to track. We also have another suspicion. Our findings led us to believe there is an ongoing cooperation between the Young Swords organisations and the Old Guard. While this is huge, it is difficult to create a solid case at the moment. The justices of the court have immunity before the law. I don't see how we can take them down legally. Take them down illegally, then. If we decide to make a case, we can arrest most of their connections in the Assembly. However, this is probably more to this than we had imagined. As long as we hurt them, the court doesn't matter. Yeah. I'll give you an update soon. I'll also send you a detailed report of the previous findings. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Carl. That's the only way we're going to get Supreme Court is by bringing them down. Left the office. Last 2.5 years have gone by so fast. Blimey, we are coming to the end of the game, aren't we? Okay, what we like now? Let's have a look at these. Okay, inflation. That's not good. Ooh, that's not good. Hellstone has reported with intelligence about a secret nuclear weapons scrapper developed by Vumberg. That changes it, just changes it ever so slightly. Due to recent crash, number of unemployed citizens, Suzerain has increased. They want more money. Excuse me. Okay, let's go up here. Gang violence diminished because we've arrested some criminals. I think that's got to be significant in some way. As resident of President Governor Braun. That's the Suzerain protests. What are you about? Destination speech. Let's do this because I'm going to go after the Supreme Court, I think. Destination speech. Unusual crowded cameras, lights, microphones are set, placed in a camp. The crew is standing by, ready to start filming. Are you ready, sir? I'm always ready. Good, I can see the crew's ready. As soon as you take your seat, we can go live. Took my seat and rearranged my notes on the desk. As a crew member powdered my face with a cotton puff. As everybody was ready, the director gave a sign to start filming. I looked directly into the camera. My brothers and sisters, I saw to election on the winds of change that desperately sought and called for people of Sordland. I'd like to speak to you about the events of the past months with a great stock effort to bring the words freedom, fairness and hope new meaning and give the words hope. For the moment I was sworn I'd done nothing but fight to achieve change demanded, to plan to dismantle the ancient government structure and replace it with one that met the needs of modern culture today. So that's my vision of 2 grand for the last scope of our Supreme Court. The justice cannot conceive of a Sordland in which they were unable to interfere with the constitutional amendment process. If the justices had their way, Tarquin's soul would last till the end of time, and so would Sol's presidency. If I squashed his soul, sod it. I refused to play their dirty games, and they banded together against me. They spitefully acted against me, putting their own pettiness before those of the country. So they stubbornly clung to Sordland's past, knowing it could cost the country's future. But I will tell you this, I'm not done fighting for you. People of Sordland will not let himself be so easily cowed. Sordland I'm not done fighting for you. Historians look upon this as a minor hurdle in Sordland's path to greatness. I'm not giving up on my commitment to equality and justice. Challenges ahead. The future lies in our hands. Without the Assembly support, there's no end to what we can achieve. With the focus on Lord on our side, took a deep breath, releasing his shooter fly away from his forehead. With the forms off the table, I should keep following through on my promise to improve Sordland's security. We'll start focusing on the economy. I thank you for standing by me, President, both good and bad times. Standing by me. Just call it the camera flip and my switch is finished. That's how they knew that that command needs to continue. Right, so we're not going to continue because we've done 50 minutes and let's leave it at that. So, as I suspected, we couldn't get the reforms through. I didn't have enough money to bribe Heaven. I simply didn't have the money to do it. You know, and I just didn't have the money to do it, to bribe him. I wonder what would happen if I'd bribed him and it had got through. The only way we can get to him now is through the anti-corruption police. It's the only route we've got to get him. Anyway, that's a blow. We cleared the first hurdle, but I always knew Supreme Court was going to be a tough one. So, where do we go from here? I do not know. But we shall find out in the next episode. So, hope you enjoyed that. As ever, like and subscribe. You know, comment, let me know what you thought. Let me know how it's gone for you, if any of you guys have gone through the Constitution. It's the second time I've gone through it, with two very marked and different results. So let me know how you got on. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, bye.